You got it.
We got the 300 subscribers now, 305. So we made it.
305. By the
305.
time this comes out, I'll be down to 302. But fuck it, it's still 300.
Still, yeah, still 300 plus. What one guy I talked to in the gym, I was like, oh, you got a YouTube account? He gets his phone out and stuff. I'm like, oh, just subscribe. He's like, this is my baby daughter's account. It's like, you don't need to watch it, just subscribe.
Well, when she gets to the age of like going for her subscribers, though, she's gonna fucking randomly click on like the Nikki episode, skip 20 minutes in just to get rid of all the small talk, and then be surprised by the fucking anal story.
Debauchery and oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I had a little surprise today. So I'm renting out this suit for a wedding next week, and I thought I knew how much money I had in my account. I thought, well, that covers it. But just in case, I'm going to look at my bank account because the suit was a bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be. I had all this extra money put in my account. We're talking like 400 odd quid. I was like, where the fuck did this come from? And I click on it, and it came from Author House. All right. So for those who don't know what Author House is, it's basically a vanity publisher. So last year, the first lockdown that we had, I had, like everybody, I had all the free time in the world, and I'm getting my book finished. And I just thought, you know what, it'd be nice just to get like 10 copies made to give to friends and family, you know, one of those. And so I go on Author House thing, not knowing what these people are, and I go to pay for it, and it's expensive. We're talking like 800 quid. All right, they do everything for you. And I made that first payment, but my gut was telling me not to do this. I was like, don't do this. These people are fucking predators. They prey on people that just want to get their stuff done, and they own the rights to your stuff. And I pulled out after making that first payment, and no more money was taken out of my account. But I wrote that money off. I was like, I'm never going to see that money again. These guys are absolute animals. A year and 4 months later, they paid my money back.
At least they fucking paid you back, man. That reminds me of a Peep Show episode I watched recently where he's like, from like season 1 to season 6, he's trying to write this novel called Business Secrets of the Pharaohs. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I think he was like getting to the point where you were getting at. He was just like, I just need people to read it. So he goes to like this shady business guy and starts giving him money. And like even his dumbass mate that just lives with him for years is like, Mark, that's strange. You shouldn't be paying people to get your fucking novel published.
Yeah.
And it ended up being the exact same situation. They just stole his money. Fucking.
That's the bottom line for anyone that's wanting to get their stuff published. If you have to pay for it, that's the first red flag. And I was naive. I wasn't, I was paying to get it published. I just wanted 10 copies. That's a lot of money for 10 copies. And then for them to own the rights to my property that I spent 4 years working on. But yeah, I got out of it. I didn't give them, they didn't get nothing. They didn't get any material off of me. And I'm really relieved I got that money back because I wrote it off and it was a nice little surprise. I was like, yeah, that's good. That's decent.
They should get your fucking money back.
Yeah, that's it. So that was a nice little surprise. And yeah, man, I'm going to be getting it published in a couple of weeks. Self-published.
Have you sorted it all out?
Yeah, sorted it all out, getting it self-published. But my dad just had a book published recently for his poetry and all that. And I love it, man. The front cover, the artwork, the layout of it looks fucking amazing. And it's called I Won't Paint My House Yellow. It's just a collection of poetry. And yeah, it's decent. It's really, really good.
Talking about your dad, actually, Brett told me actually to tell you this.
Okay.
He had his family around earlier, his brother and his brother's daughters and all that. And his brother got picked up in the taxi to go home. And obviously your dad turns up and that. And Brett was like, oh yeah, I didn't know what to say in that. So I just told him, right. And this made me cringe. Even Brett said it made him cringe when he walked in the door. He was like, oh, hi Spike, tell them a poem. And I was like, oh no, you don't say that. That's like asking a skater to fucking do a kickflip, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's asking a free runner to do a Kong. You know what I mean? You don't say shit like that.
I know. I bet my dad told him to piss off.
I'm surprised your dad hasn't said anything. But that's what I said. I was like, that's surprising. But I did the similar thing by fucking fist bumping him the other week. Like I just went back in my house like, what am I doing?
Don't be embarrassed by a fist bump. Jesus Christ, don't worry about that.
No, but it's just that thing. It's like, I don't know, man.
Don't worry about that. And you know what? My dad gets that a lot because he's the Corby poet. And it's a small town of 50,000 people. They know what he's up to. So, he gets it on a regular basis. There's this thing we call taxi Tourette's. It's quite funny, right? And this is based on a Peter Kay joke. He says there's only 2 questions you're ever going to ask a taxi driver to break the silence. And those 2 questions are, when do you finish? And
what time you on to?
What time you on to? And being busy.
Yeah,
right? So my dad, I remember my dad came to visit me. We jumped in a taxi on our way down to a restaurant or something. And my dad just clapped his hands together and he goes, "Oh, let's play some Taxi Tourette's then. You've been busy. What time do you finish?" So ever since then, I never ask. I mean, I don't get a taxi that often, but when I do, I never ask those two questions ever.
Mate, when I'm in the back of a taxi, I'm fucking silent till I have to pay my money and go. I tell them my address and that's it. I don't fucking speak to them.
That's different. That's a hackney cab. It's easier to be quiet because you've got that plexiglass to separate the both of you. But in a private hire,
even the private hire ones, I'm just like, get me to my destination. Don't speak to me. And like, not even an asshole way, just because I'm a fucking socially awkward person. Yeah. But it's just like, I can't like have a conversation just with strangers, really.
Yeah. It amuses me so much every time I get in a taxi, especially with a girlfriend or something. And they'll ask the two questions. Been busy? I'm thinking that taxi driver must die on the inside every time they get asked that.
My fucking brother does it, but he does it on purpose. He'll get in and be like, "What time are you on till?" Been busy. Like, I'm like, fuck's sake, Dean, man. But he's the sort of person you can't take anywhere. But buses, on holiday, go with the mini golf, he'll be fucking kicking off that he can't putt and throw his golf club in the ocean. That actually happened once, and he walked off. We thought we lost him. My brother's a nutter, man.
Yeah, I think we're all broken somehow, though, aren't we? Like, you look at us as a civilization, we're broken. We're all broken.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that we have other people who are also broken responsible for overseeing our day-to-day way of living.
Yeah, but the people that vote them people in are broken just as much as the people.
We're all broken.
Do you know what blows my mind is how can people still vote for the Tories? How is that a thing? Why do people out like?
At this point, it doesn't make any difference because
obviously, but like
it really doesn't make any difference because, like my dad says, you know, England and America are two-party states. I mean, I know you got Liberal Democrats and Green Party, but they're never fucking winning. Let's be honest. Not anytime soon, anyway. Maybe.
No,
so we got like a two-party state, Conservative and Labour, and it's hard to define what they are. But I say Conservative they're both authoritarian for sure, right? It's not the same as Democrat and Republican in America. That's a little bit more different because they're a republic, aren't they? So it's different. But Labour used to be what you call a social democracy. So they're like in the middle, bang on the middle. So they're not socialists, but they do believe in putting a lot of funding and stuff that's like education, things that are like, you know, health and this, that, and the other. We saw that growing up. Conservatives are more about privatization and whatnot. And there's pros and cons in both, for sure. But there's just too fucking many of us. And we're all broken. That's the problem. We spoke about this months ago. We're like broken biscuits. You know, the way our way of life is structured, it's not right. You think about how much time the average person spends working and how much money they actually take away from that.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Up until the point of retirement, like you might as well have just not worked. But then it's all money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about power and control, and it's all about. But yeah, so we got this. My dad says, Labour, Conservative, they're both the two arse. What was it? Two cheeks of the same arse. That's how he defines it.
It's true though. It is exactly true.
Because if anyone tries to legitimately change the system for the better, they're gonna have so much.
They're gonna get shot in the fucking face.
They're gonna get shot in the face. They're gonna be part of a scandal, controversy. They're gonna have smear campaigns against them.
This is what we were talking about the other day, and like anyone who tries to stand up for themselves, the fucking government, anyone in power, they just die. They just get killed.
Exactly, because the system is firmly cemented and has been for hundreds of years. You think they're just going to let one person in their little party come along and take all that from them?
And yeah, someone said to me as well, I was like, why was David Icke not still alive? And I'm like, have you heard him speak?
Yeah.
No one's going to kill David Icke to saying what he's saying. Like, the Queen's a lizard. Oh, okay, yeah, let's kill David Icke. He's telling the truth.
The thing is, though, with David Icke, is where I get skeptical about him is the idea of controlled opposition. I think about that when it comes to Banksy. You know, Banksy is, it's a form of controlled opposition. We spoke about it with the Matrix, didn't we? The whole point of the second Matrix movie is that the prophecy was never meant to end anything. It was just another system of control, because the architect managed to create a simulation that would cater to 99% of everyone in that simulation. They accepted the illusion, but for that 1% that were always going to wake up and take the red pill no matter what, they were then given a false prophecy to distract them from the real truth. And that's what I think about.
Now you're saying that, do you reckon 13th Floor is just a really oversimplified version of the Matrix?
I don't know, because the 13th Floor, I don't know if it was directed or produced by, it's Roland Emmerich. He's the guy that's done all the big disaster blockbuster movies. We're talking Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012. You know, he's the guy that does that. He was like the Michael Bay before Michael Bay.
Yeah.
And but I think the 13th Floor is one of his better movies for sure. But it
does. But if you think about the ending, though, it's similar to what you were just explaining. It's like,
yeah,
they made that simulation to escape what they were thinking and the reality of the real world, but the simulation was a simulation.
Yeah,
inside of a fucking simulation. It's like Inception of simulations.
It was ahead of its time, but it kind of fell short a little bit on that whole twist premise at the end. It could have, because, you know, the film ends, spoiler alert, for a film that came out in 99. But, you know, our boy Craig Burko wakes up on a nice sunny beach. It's like the year 2020 something. And even after watching it several times, I'm trying to think, right, did he get lost? Did he lose his mind in that simulation? And that's why they made another simulation?
The thing that makes me get lost is when his asshole real self comes into the simulation and starts like
killing people.
Yeah. Like he was the murderer, but it isn't him. And then he wakes up, but he wakes up in the asshole's body. You know what I mean?
If I was to take a guess, right, because this film came out a couple of months after The Matrix. So The Matrix came out and they probably thought, fuck, we need to get this film out quick. You know, but the whole beginning bit's amazing when he goes into that simulation for the first time to experience 1939's America. And he's just looking around, the awe on Craig Burko's face. It's like, oh my God, this simulation is something else. And I would do really, especially when you're baked, there's a lot of appreciation for that scene. And
yeah, man, it's one of those like non-stoner funny films you can sit and get baked and watch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember when I first watched it, I was like, yeah, I even bought the poster. I mean, it was on my my wardrobe. Just the 13th
poster up there, man.
Yeah, I can see it. Did I give you that poster? Or did you get that?
Nah, I got the DVD and I got the other DVD.
Oh, you got the DVD case.
It's like a slip.
Scumbag poster.
Nah, hold on.
Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry.
13th Floor is still there.
Oh, okay.
But inside it came with the slip.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? The cover. Yeah. So I put that on my wall. It's not like I cut out the front cover and put it on my wall. Nah, man, that is scum. I couldn't do that. I couldn't destroy a DVD like that. So you just look at it. It's just a black case. Like, I can do that to a DVD or Blu-ray or any sort of digital copy.
I've got stacks of DVD. I don't actually have a DVD player in my home, but I've got.
I know even your Xbox can't play them.
Nah, digital version only. I've got bin bags full of DVDs that I've collected over the years, and
don't ever get rid of them, even though you want to.
I won't. I don't want to get rid of them. I don't want to, because some of them are shite.
Because they're going to be like VHSs in a couple of years. Like,
you reckon?
Oh yeah, like, oh yeah. I mean, you'll still be able to play them like more conveniently than a VHS, but like something else will come along. You'll be playing movies on like little disc, like little GameCube discs soon, like little SD cards and shit.
You know, it's funny if you watch Demolition Man, right? You've seen the film?
Yeah.
So that came out in 1993, and they tried to take a stab at predicting what the year 2032 would be like, and a lot of it came true in a weird, creepy kind of way, and some of it didn't. But yes, you draw correlations, and they predicted that mini discs, basically what they used with the PSP, UMD, I think they called it. There were these tiny little discs that were in a plastic sleeve that you slipped into your PSP. And I think that's what people thought back then in the 90s, what was going to be the next phase of this digital, this media, whatever you want to call it.
Do you know what they didn't predict?
What's that?
That on the PSP, they'd include an internet browser and people would use it to look at inappropriate anal porn. They didn't predict that one.
No, it's funny that, isn't it? It's not worth the fucking hassle, dude. I'm not going with that one.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying they didn't predict it, That's all.
Oh, I'm trying to think of things that they did get right. So, because Demolition Man got a lot of attention last year because of all the things that happened, right? So, one of the concepts in the film.
Are we just going off Blade or Demolition Man here?
Yeah. I mean, we can think of other shit too that we've read and watched. But for those who aren't familiar with Demolition Man, the premise is that this police officer played by Sylvester Stallone, John Spartan. I think that's his name, John Spartan. Weird coincidence with Master Chief. He gets cryogenically frozen because he's reckless, because he was going after Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes. He finally gets the guy, but they both get put in cryogenic freezing. But Simon Phoenix somehow gets out on parole in 2032, and he is just wreaking havoc. So they have no choice. Everyone's become so genteel in this society. They don't know how to handle this baddie from the 90s. So they have to bring out John Spartan from his cryogenic freezing. They have to bring out early to handle this guy. And it's a fucking great film. But he struggles to adjust to this new way of life. Like, people get fined for swearing. So you say a bad word and it'll just go, and a thing will print a ticket saying you're being fined 1/2 credit.
It's like Equilibrium, where if you're happy, you have to take a pill quickly.
Any emotion. That's what we'll definitely go back to Equilibrium in a second, because that's another interesting film as well that we haven't really elaborated on. But yeah, so some of the things they predicted, right, comically, right, this was just a joke that was thrown into the movie, but Sylvester Stallone comes back and says, there's no toilet paper in your toilet, and they all start laughing amongst themselves. Rob Schneider's in this film, and he says,
so it's fucking Norman Reedus, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells, and it's never explained how the 3 seashells are used.
That was when we improvised knowing Rob Schneider.
Yeah, exactly. And so 2020 comes along and everyone's buying out all the pasta and toilet paper. So people start making comparisons to Demolition Man, saying, oh, we're going to have to start using the 3 seashells. And I heard some horror stories of what people had to use to wipe their ass during that period.
Mate, toilet paper wasn't that, extinct. I still got some.
No, but I think places in America got pretty bad. And I'm sure some major cities it got pretty bad.
No, yeah, I remember seeing videos of people kicking each other's asses, and I was like, "Fuck it, that's not that bad." I still go down to Morrison's and buy some toilet paper and walk out with my without getting into a scrap.
I remember they started doing rations, didn't they? Where they said you can only buy X
amount. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Like 10 items. You couldn't buy more than one of the same item.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's crazy, man. Because there's there are people that. As we get older, if we're still alive, fuck knows what's going to happen. But I try and keep a bit hopeful. If we are alive in 20 years' time, there'll be children that won't know what we experienced, and we can tell them all about it. They'll be fucking fascinated. We've got grandparents that are either still alive or not that will tell us about the Blitz. My grandmother was 6 years of age and experienced the Blitz. The Clyde River up in Glasgow was being bombed. And she was in one of these refuge homes where the kids kind of had to live in during the war times. And apparently a missile or a bomb hit the place the building that they were in, but it didn't go off. I think if that bomb had gone off, I wouldn't be here right now. Something is, one little thing, a bomb not going off is the reason why I exist.
That's mad, isn't it? That's crazy. I remember actually before I go on, I remember watching a documentary about the Blitz, and I forget how close we came to fucking losing to Germany. We came so fucking close. Literally so close. If it wasn't for something happened. It was
Russia was a massive. Well,
no. But before Churchill took over, Germany went for Britain, but there was an ocean. Something was fucking up.
Well, the English Channel helps. The English Channel.
Yeah, that's it. He decided to pull out because something happened. I don't know. I need to rewatch the documentary, but yeah, he pulled out at a certain point because it was getting too much. And then he was going to come back, but that's when Churchill became prime minister and started going.
He was prime minister twice, once in the 40s and again in the 50s.
And I don't really get the politics back then, but it's just interesting watching documentaries about wartime, man. It's they've told different period. Even though if you think about it, it wasn't that long ago either, really. Really, like more than 60, 70 years ago, but it's still, that's not long ago.
I'll tell you, one of the best war books literatures I've ever read. It is fiction, but it's still very harrowing. It's called All Quiet on the Western Front, written by a guy named Remarque. Can't remember his full name, but it's translated from German into English. And I read it, and it is something else. It's about a young soldier's experiences in Germany during the First World War in the trenches. And it's fucking graphic in such a
so it's like a fictional story from a fictional character's point of view.
Yeah, a German character's point of view, because I think Remarque was actually in the war, so he was just kind of. And yeah, there's this one scene where a hand comes over the trench, a severed hand, and the way he just stares at it and he feels nothing. He's just numb to it. And by the end, when Germany were getting their asses kicked, and this is the First World War, he starts noticing that the new recruits are getting younger and younger and younger, to the point where they're like 15 years of age, and they're just running out of money left, right, and center. Even with the end of World War II, when all the forces are closing in on Berlin, you got the English, the French, the Soviets, all closing in. Americans, the French, yeah. So there's four. There was the French, there was the English, the Americans, and the Soviets. There were other countries as well, but they're all closing in. And it got to the point where like the soldiers were just picking up the guns of their fallen allies, or they're just, you know what I mean, just picking up the gun that someone that they knew just got shot dead. Just pick up the gun and keep it advancing. My dad was telling me that in the Falklands, people were literally beating the shit out of each other with spades and shovels. It was fucking, mate, war is just terrible.
Ruthless, isn't it?
It's fucking ruthless. No matter which way you spin it, it doesn't matter where you are politically. It's fucking horrific.
Mate, the Falklands is mad as well. I watched a documentary about that recently as well, and it's like we shouldn't own that piece of land, really, realistically. It's Argentina's, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
It's South America's island. Why have we got it? Why are we still defending it? What's so important that's there?
Oil.
Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah, man, oil.
There you go.
But the people that live on the Falklands are pretty much British. So
yeah. There's a British colony in it.
And whoever, I don't know who the leader of Argentina was at the time, but he was a dictator, and he was like, "Fuck it, we're having the."
Yeah, Falklands. After watching the documentary, I got it, but I was like, "Fuck me, there was not really no need, was there? Like literally no need, just because one guy wanted the island back."
Every major event has its controversial moment, and the controversial moment with the Falklands is the incident with the Belgrano. So
blown up.
You have what's called the inclusion zone, and Maggie Thatcher gave the order to sink the Belgrano, even though it was heading away from the inclusion zone. They had to confirm with Thatcher, and she said again, sink the Belgrano. And that's kind of what escalated the war. However, people on the other side will argue, well, the guy, whether it be the captain or someone else, later went on to say, oh no, we were coming back, so he did the fucking right thing. But who the fuck are you going to believe these days? You know, it's such a head fuck these days.
It's like that dude in the Cold War. There was 3 Russian submarine dudes. 2 of them give the order to send off the rocket.
Was that the Cuban Missile?
Yeah, and one of them was like, no, don't do it. And like, because all 3 of them had to agree, they went with that one guy who said not to do it. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Russia and America had been blowing each other up if it wasn't for one dude.
Right. I heard a story about this. So my mum wouldn't have been born yet because she was born in 1963. This happened in 1962. And they have a DEFCON system. So DEFCON 5, 4, 3. Once it gets to 1, it's full on nuclear war. Mm-hmm. But my Uncle Brian, who would have been 5, 6 years old at this time, he told me that he remembers coming home from school, and my granny, my granddad, they all huddled together in the kitchen with the radio playing, talking, giving a, I'm going blank.
Like a speech, the president giving a speech.
Just a live, giving out the events as they were happening on the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it was frightening for a lot of people. And they all huddled together. And then my cousin Tony told me that they were actually contemplating, they had agreed amongst themselves as a family that if there was nuclear bombs going off and they were still alive, they were just going to walk out hand in hand as a family to their death. Yeah. How fucked up is that? Imagine being in that mindset to be like, yeah, we're ready to die as a family.
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to remember. I know it's a bad way to look at things, or maybe not. Like if you're firing a missile, it's like it's got to have precise coordinates and locations. Like it's not nuclear bombs ain't just gonna float over the world. I know there'll be a big.
Yeah, but the thing with nuclear bombs is that there's a good documentary I recommend. It's narrated by John Hurt, and it kind of gives you a retelling of the bombs that hit Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And these weren't even atomic bombs. These are the ones like the precursor to atomic bombs. I can't remember what they were called.
Hydrogen.
Yeah, I think it was a hydrogen bomb, right? What we have now is way more advanced. But even then, so the bomb goes off, the first one being Hiroshima. That was the first city to get hit. And there's people who have survived telling their story on this documentary. I think it's on BBC. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but it's easy enough to find. And John Hurt, rest in peace, does an amazing job of narrating this. And you had two planes. I think it was Big Boy and Little Boy.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
The bomb goes off. Now, in my mind, based on what I learned in history, I thought that everyone within like an 8-mile radius just got vaporized.
Yeah, same. That's what I used to think.
Nope. A lot of people got badly burned, and people got trapped in buildings and a lot of people had to evacuate. They just started heading. I mean, this is really bad. It kind of makes me laugh in a really
dark and twisted
twisted way, because it's just so fucking how unlucky can you get? A lot of people who got on the train went to Nagasaki where it got bombed again. How fucked up is that? How bad must your day be? You think, oh fuck, what are the chances of getting hit by an atomic bomb? Let's go to the next town. Oh fuck, no, again.
All you can hear is the whistling. Fuck. Get the train back.
But here's where it gets really bad, right? Because obviously, yeah, you've got the initial explosion itself, but then there's the radioactive particles that come from that. So all that gas rises up into the sky, and it started to rain. And also, these people that have been going through the worst thing anyone could ever go through, well, they're thirsty, they're hungry, they're injured. It starts to rain, and they just start capturing the droplets, and it's black. The rain is black, and they're drinking it. They're drinking poison. It's fucking horrific, man.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but they must have a fucking good fucking reason to blow up two cities.
Absolutely fucking not. I mean, like
no, but like the only atomic bombs to be dropped ever in history. There has to be a good reason. Has to be. And yes, rhetorically, it has to be.
Only reactionary. I think that's the only reason why.
Pearl Harbor was the only reason why.
No. So Pearl Harbor was, again, this is you can go down many different routes of what the fuck happened with Pearl Harbor. But Pearl Harbor was the initial, like, right, we're at war with Japan.
Is that what kicked America's ass into going, right, we're in war now?
Yeah, they escalated.
They were holding back for a while, weren't they? They were like, "No, we're good."
My mind's a bit fuzzy, but the American people, for the most part, did not want to get involved in the war. They were like, this is Britain's war. It's nothing to do with us. So they stayed out of it. But then Pearl Harbor happened, and then suddenly, just like with 9/11, suddenly sentiments of the nation change.
What was the Japanese's beef with America?
Well, the Japanese were, because there was three major characters at play. There were the Nazis, there were the Italians, and then there was the Japanese. And they all had their own dictator calling the shots, their own parties calling the shots. And I think they all had their own special interests, but they're all in it for themselves. And Japan was just expanding. They were taking over that's what led to Vietnam War. The Japanese invaded Vietnam, which was being occupied by the French at the time. And my mind's a bit fuzzy, but yeah, they were just taking over all the Southeast Asian parts.
That's what I mean. I've just recently watched like a 3-hour documentary on the war, and like some points like you didn't explain very well. So I'm just trying to figure out my own brain.
Yeah, it's been a while. I need to go back into it because it does fascinate me.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's not even like the fighting and killing that fascinates me. It's the politics and stuff behind the scenes. Yeah. Like, especially with the Cold War, it's like these people's minds so much paranoia. Like,
oh, for sure.
That's all it was. And yeah,
so with Japan, so Pearl Harbor kicks it into another gear with the Americans' involvement in the war. And once I'm just thinking now, yeah, so they had this new toy, this bomb, and they're like, right, they give the opportunity for Japan to surrender, and it's a bit controversial when Japan did. Some say Japan had already surrendered because they're it's so fucking complicated. It's all to do with like passages, naval sites, and cargo, and I mean, like I think the Americans are blocking the Japanese and antagonizing them, and that led to Pearl Harbor, and then the fucking Yanks kicked back. So you get the atomic bombs, right? So initially they were going to drop 9 bombs on Japan. That was the original plan. And most historical texts will explain that either the Japanese surrendered after the first bomb, or they didn't surrender until the second bomb. I think it's pretty popular that it was after the first, after Hiroshima, the Japanese surrendered, but they fucking dropped the second bomb 3 days later anyway, just to show up. Basically, just showboat, and it's like, yeah, fuck you.
If they dropped 9 bombs, Japan would be at Atlantis.
Yeah, because the Nazis had already surrendered by this point, so it was just Japan that was left.
Oh, they were still fucking causing shit. Like,
we're
still fighting, motherfuckers.
It's like with Final Fantasy VII. I mean, once you beat Sephiroth, you still got these bonus weapons to take out.
Fucking Japanese. Yeah, just fucking surrendered with Hitler, could they?
So now we're living in a world where every single major nation is in a Mexican standoff with one another with nuclear war. So the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Americans had a base, I want to say in Turkey, which is very, very close to the Soviet Union at the time. And that really pissed off the Soviets. So they decided to move their arms over to Cuba, which was another
friendly with Castro, man.
Your face is frozen. Yeah, I can still hear you, mate. But your camera
face is frozen.
Yeah, your face is
yours.
Oh fuck. I'll give it a second.
What about now?
Yeah, we're good, man. Carry on.
Right, yeah. So
Castro, Fidel Castro.
Yeah, just him and what was his name? The Russian guy at the time.
Joseph Stalin.
Nah, it wasn't Stalin. It was the guy after Stalin.
Stalin died in
bald, fat dude.
Toysky. I can't remember their names. I'm quite familiar with Stalin though. He died in the 50s.
I need to get this right, hold on, because it's pissing me off. It was after Stalin. It was when JFK was president, and he went and met him and said like he felt bullied. Do you know who I'm on about?
So here's an interesting bit for you then. So obviously you had the Soviet Union, right? So they dissolved in around late 80s, early 90s. And obviously there was these satellite states that were dependent on them. There was North Korea, there was Cuba, and obviously those countries in the Eastern European that slowly gained back their sovereignty. North Korea got it really bad because they were getting a lot of financial aid from the Soviet Union.
Khrushchev.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Nikita Khrushchev.
Yeah. He came after Stalin. Yeah,
that's who was who was getting paranoid with JFK about the missiles, and he got friendly with Castro.
Yeah. Oh, Stalin was an absolute cunt. Cunt.
Yeah.
Because before Stalin, there was Lenin.
But what was the guy's name before Lenin? Marx.
Karl Marx. But Karl Marx was more of a philosopher. He wasn't a leader. I don't believe. I might be getting this completely wrong, and he died before his research was done. So again, like anything in life, you kind of develop this philosophy of Marxism, but then it's split into different sides. So now you've got orthodox Marxism, you've got what's it called, neo-Marxism. There's all these different versions of Marxism depending on, it's the same with Islam. There's different types of Islam. So they argue amongst themselves. You've got the Shiites and you've got the Sunnis, and they argue amongst themselves about who was the true successor to Muhammad. You know what I mean? And the war with each other.
Muddled up,
same with Protestants and Catholics. I went down that rabbit hole with King Henry VIII, and because Protestantism was starting, I think it began in Germany.
Yeah.
And then it expanded, and then obviously fucking Henry VIII wants to get divorced from Catherine of Aragon because she's not produced a son, she's getting to her mid to late 30s. She's 6 years older than Henry, and he just wants to fuck about. The lady in waiting was Anne Boleyn, much younger, more sophisticated, more charming, and he wants to get divorced, but the church won't allow it. But so he spends months trying to find a way out of this contract with his wife, and eventually gets it. I can't remember how he did it. And then by the time he marries Anne Boleyn, she's already pregnant.
Anne Boleyn is.
Yeah, Anne Boleyn was already pregnant, like a couple of months pregnant by the time they actually got married. And they got married in kind of secrecy. And then she wasn't producing any kids, any sons. So that pissed him off. And then threw a bunch of trumped up charges at her of incest and treason. She gets her head cut off. Next lady in waiting, Jane Seymour. You know what I mean?
Who was the final one?
Not Catherine Howard, Catherine Parr.
She outlived him, didn't she? Lucky bitch.
Yeah, so she was basically like a carer more than anything. And so he dies in his 50s, his mid 50s, I want to say. And because he'd injured his leg doing jousting and all that, and he got gout and stuff. It was very common back in them days. He got really fat, really overweight, had mental issues, making all sorts of weird decisions. Pretty much bankrupt England because he just kept pimping out his castle, his property, his estates. He just kept spending so much money on it. And then, Catherine Parr gets married to some other guy, Tom Seymour, I think his name was Tom, something like that. And they looked after Elizabeth. And I can't be asked talking anymore about it.
Fuck Henry VIII. Fuck Henry VII.
I spent hours watching these. All right, I'm going to say what happened, right? So we're going to get some guy on the documentary who does on the podcast who does the narration for all these documentaries. It was called The People's Profile, and it's great. It is great to learn about history on these things. And I spent hours watching this. I was learning about William Wallace. I was learning about Henry VIII, Henry VII, Anne Boleyn, Queen Elizabeth, you name it. I went down the rabbit hole for hours, and then he turns around and backs out the last second. Oh, I can't make the podcast. Sorry. I was like, you motherfucker. Spent a whole week.
Let's just put you off history for life. This one guy
hasn't put me off.
All right, fuck history.
I went into it willingly. I thought, oh, this will be interesting. It's how I learned about Stalin. So that was another good one. And they're great documentaries, but yeah, it just pissed me off because I was like, motherfucker, spent all week down this rabbit hole for what? So I can have articulated to you right now.
He'll probably doing a better fucking job, mate. He probably reads off a fucking script.
Yeah.
So we're freeballing this. The only thing I've done is Google Khrushchev's name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So North Korea, right? So the Soviet Union comes to an end, and North Korea is on its own. It's left to fend for itself. And there's a massive famine in the 90s.
Is this like the Korea War? Is it?
No, the Korea War happened. The Korea War was in 1950.
Yeah, that's mental as well. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. No, this is the 90s. So basically, there was a famine, failed crops, millions of people died. North Korea's a fucking some can of worms. Population of like 80 million people. There was a kid in America. There was an American kid that went there on a sort of like touristy visa thing. And in the hotel he's staying at, there's one floor that no tourist is allowed access to. I think it was the 14th floor. Even on the elevators, there's no button for it. So him and his mates snuck onto this floor and filmed it all, and he stole a piece of propaganda. And he got sent to prison and all that. Sentenced. He had to make a confession. And it wasn't until about 18 months later that he got returned home, and he was comatose. And eventually his parents had to switch off the life support, and he died.
That's fucked up.
I know.
What was this shit they stole?
It literally was just nothing. It was just a little poster, a little propaganda poster that the tourists wouldn't normally get to see.
Yeah.
Because they weren't supposed to be there. So it was like a big deal for them. And I think they wanted to make it, the North Koreans wanted to make an example on the Americans as well. And the coroner said that there had been brain damage done to this guy. Like the man hadn't been breathing for at least 4 to 5 minutes at one point, and that's what led to his brain damage.
Those dudes, man, they just ruthless bastards, aren't they? They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's like, do you think the Americans are pussies for pulling out of Afghanistan? Like, see how the suicide bombings happened, or whatever happened. I don't know what the fuck happened, but what did they do? They did some drone strikes to some targets that may or not have been ISIS members.
Where the Americans went wrong, where the Biden administration went wrong was, well, Biden, let's say the Harris administration, where they went wrong was, it's not so much that they pulled out, it's the way they pulled out. They left weapons, because I learned quite recently that it's cheaper for them to just leave the weapons there. Like, it's cheaper to just buy new weapons than it is to bring back the old weapons.
Ain't that what, you're gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but ain't that why the fucking North Viet Cong army was pretty strong? Because they had what the fucking French just left there.
Well, it's not even just what the French left there. I mean, they had the Soviet Union backing them. They had the Chinese backing them.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's the same thing with the Afghan. They've got people coming in backing them now, like Qatar.
Yeah, the Vietnam War was a bit of a stalemate because, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Viet Cong were fucking tremendous at guerrilla warfare. I mean, it was their land. It was their motherland. They knew exactly how to traverse those forests. And you saw for yourself watching the Vietnam documentary that the Americans themselves, it take them like 4 hours just to cover a mile because of that tall grass that they had to chop their way through. They had no clue how to navigate the place. But again, there was a bit of a stalemate because no US soldiers were allowed in North Vietnam, because then otherwise that would just escalate the war between the Soviets and the Americans and the Chinese. So they had Operation Rolling Thunder, where they'll just have planes going over bombing the fuck out of North Vietnam. But they were just winging it, because they weren't just hitting military places. They were hitting schools. They were hitting, they were just going after anything. People like to think, collateral damage. I mean, these are human beings. You can't help where you're born. You can't help where you're born. There might be people in North Vietnam that don't subscribe, that aren't believers in communism or believers in the philosophies of Ho Chi Minh. They just wanted to get on with their lives. And then next thing you know, fucking American bombers going over you and blowing the shit out of you.
It's pretty fucked up, isn't it? War's just fucked up in general, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucked up. Oh yeah, so to answer your question about Afghanistan, so yeah, the manner in which it was done was horrific. I mean, just leaving everything fucking there so last minute.
You see that video, right? How the plane's taking off and people are on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy, right? And this fucks with my mind. There's one guy at the start of the video. He waves at the camera and he's smiling. You know what I'm on about?
Yeah, I've seen the video.
Yeah. Like, why would he be smiling and dancing like, hey?
Just because
he's definitely.
Yeah, but think about it though, right? He's probably reached that whole Kubler-Ross model. He's probably at stage 5. He's probably acceptance. Like he knows he's getting fucked. So why not just be happy? Your last day of living. Well, maybe
it's that one thing. It's like an extra in a movie where like he's supposed to be enacting a certain way, but he's like fucking up the scene by like smiling at the camera or something. It's like that. Yeah. It's like it's just that one guy who's like really happy about what? What's he happy about? Why is the camera there at that certain moment?
Maybe we do it. I mean, I remember when there was a flood in 2014, a couple of weeks after you came to visit me that time in my other house up in Chisel. We had some really bad weather where literally the ocean was being fucking thrown. Like it was, rocks were getting hurled at people's houses. We got evacuated twice. And then we had ITV News come over and they were literally filming outside my mum's house. And she was in the mirror. She put the TV on because it was live. And then she was waving in the top window. It's like a 10-second delay and then she come back and then do it again. So people just change when there's a camera near their house. You know what I mean? Oh, fuck yeah, this is national fucking television. Maybe he was a podcaster and he's just trying to get the word out there.
True, maybe, yeah. He didn't fucking say it though.
If I was in his position, mate, I'd be plugging the shit out of our podcast.
Yeah, true.
I'll be like, save room. Like and subscribe.
I was going to say something, it was gone. But no. Something about TV.
Oh yeah, so here's a little interesting fact for you about TV, right? So up until 1995 in the UK, there was like a cap on how much money a TV show could offer as a prize. And that cap was removed in the early to mid 90s. So that's why you had shows like Bruce's Price is Right came out, where they'll fucking throwing money at people. Not literally throwing money at them, but the prizes.
The prizes is ridiculous. Yeah,
they became ridiculous in comparison to what Bullseye.
Yeah, because like it's like a couple of years later. Yeah,
that strawberry set you've always wanted.
And 2.
And then the bully's bullseye prize was like a fucking caravan.
Yeah, or a fucking stupid ass fucking dinghy or something. Like a boat.
Because again, they had that cap on how much money they could give. Right. So by the mid-90s, that's all gone, and you got Bruce's Price is Right. And you're getting like 10 grand worth of shit. It's amazing. And then Who Wants to Be a Millionaire comes out in what, 1998 that came out, 97, 98. That comes out. £1 million tax-free. It was probably the most money that any version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire offered, because the American version was $1 million, but that was taxed.
Yeah.
Which works out at like, so I don't know what that would have been back then, but I'm guessing it was about 600, 700,000 pounds, $1 million back then. And then there's tax. The UK version is tax-free.
Do you know what's funny? Do you know you can see the progression of the recession through the £1 million drop live?
Really? Tell me.
Yeah, it was like the £1 million drop live. It'd be live every Friday. Like, have you never seen it?
I know the show. I know how it works.
Yeah, Davina McCall, like you'd get £1 million and then you'd get like 4 questions and you'd put money on what you think's the right answer. Yeah. And if it's wrong, bam, the money drops. If it's right, keep the money. But people put like money on different. They can't think of an answer, so they put it on. And then the thing gets gradually smaller, so you can only choose one answer by the end. So people normally end up with like 20k or something stupid, small, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as the years went on, it went from like the 500k drop live. And then it went to like a half an hour show during the fucking tea time on the Deal or No Deal slot to like 250k live. It just got the prize got smaller and smaller as the years went on, and then now it's not even an existing show.
It's crazy when you think about it, because we were 16 when that happened, when the financial housing crisis happened, and we were none the wiser because we were 16. We just left school.
Saying that, right, before you carry on, even the Big Brother prizes used to be ridiculous. And then by like before it ended, the prize money was tiny. It's like that's probably why the show was shit.
I don't remember what the prize was. I just thought it was like 15 minutes.
It used to be like fucking. The winner used to get mad money, and then by the time I stopped watching it, the money was shit, and the fame wasn't even there anymore. It's just like these people are dumbasses. Yeah,
exactly. It's what show was I thinking of? It's gone from my head now.
Sorry.
No, it's cool, man. It's no, we will figure this out. Big Brother, there was prize involved. Oh, I've gone completely blank.
Live thing, like Big Brother similar.
Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go on something else here, but this is still they did a season of something called Shattered, right? So it was like Big Brother. It was about 2005, I think. They never did it again, and it makes sense why. But the premise of this show was very similar to Big Brother, right? But you weren't allowed to sleep for 7 days.
I think, I remember watching this. And vaguely, like now you've said that challenge.
They had a restroom. They're allowed to go in a restroom, but if they slept, they lost.
I'm sure there was a challenge where they had to like sit and watch sheep jump over a thing on a telly.
Had to like sit in a classroom and all that. And you can see them fucking nodding off.
Yeah. Mate, that's a fucking brilliant premise.
No, but it's so bad. Like the Guinness.
It's bad to watch, but.
Yeah, but it's so bad for you. The Guinness Book of Records used to do longest time gone without sleep, and the record holder was, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was done in the 60s, and he stayed awake for 11 days. And then after that, they removed it because they said it's just not good for your brain. It can kill you. I don't know. I don't think you can die from sleep deprivation, but you've got to bear in mind what sleep's important for. You know, when you go to sleep, you know, you've got tissue that repairs itself. You know, even to this day, scientists can't fully understand what dreams are, but from what they understand, the popular opinion is that the reason why we dream is because it's a transfer of our short-term memory into our long-term memory, but it's sort of, it happens like a movie, but a very abstract, non-linear movie. So a lot of things aren't going to make sense. You're going to have things in your dream that happened very recently intertwined with things that happened decades ago. It happens to be all the time. There'll be times where I'll dream that we're back at school, but I'm the age I am now. We're all the same age we are now. We're in our 20s, but we're in a school that we attended as teenagers. The short term.
I remember having a dream when I was like 8 about a party I was having, and it ended up being my 13th birthday party. Like, the faces in my dream were like not clear because I hadn't met these people yet, so I didn't know them. But when the party was happening, it's like deja vu. I'd seen it before. Do you know what I mean? I was like, whoa, like I remember this.
Have you
But
ever experienced dream deja vu?
it's like something's about to happen, and then it happens.
You have a dream. The thing that you're dreaming about, you think you've dreamt about before. I've had that many times. And the scientific explanation for it, so I'm just grabbing my weed. The scientific explanation behind that is that there can be a bit of lag. I don't know the technical term, but it's like lag in your own brain. Yeah. So it happens and then it happens again. That seems to be the only explanation.
The one I get most often is like, I've dreamt or I've thought about something and it happens, and then when it happens, that's when I'll remember it. I'll be like, whoa, I've seen this shit before. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the one I get. And dreaming wise, I don't really dream a lot, but when I do, it's like it's those dreams that are, I forget the word. What's the word? The lucid. They're very lucid. Like I'll feel like I'm actually there. Like
you know that you know that the dream is real, but you know that you're dreaming.
No, I don't know.
That's what a lucid dream is defined as. You know you're dreaming.
Well, I don't think it's that, because in the dream I'm there, like it's real life, and then when I wake up in real life, I'm like, I think I think like, cause I remember times where I've woke up right in my dream. I've checked my phone. Oh, I've got like fucking £1 million in the bank. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I've woke up right, and I'm not even thinking about it. I've went and checked the bank, and I've been like, there's nothing in there. I'm like, oh. I'm like, what the? I'm genuinely surprised there's not money in there. Like, but it obviously the dream was so real that I actually thought I woke up thinking, oh, I'm fucking rich.
You know, it's weird. I get these weird crossover. I call them crossover dreams. It's like that transition between waking up, still being asleep, and waking up, and you sort of get that impression. And I went through a phase during the first lockdown where I was gambling. It didn't get out of hand or anything like that. So I think it was called something Pharaoh. You get it on all the Betfred sites and all that. It's like a 98% return. So it means for every £100 you spend, you get £98 back.
I of Horus.
Something like that along those lines. And sometimes you'd win pretty decent. You know, you get on the big board. Next thing you know, you're getting ×5, ×10, and you're walking away with like, at the most I ever walked away with was like 80 quid. But based on how many times I put a tenner in, I broke even.
You know a business secret from an ex-bookie?
I'll go on then.
The trick is to always bet small. You always win big then.
Really? So like if you're just doing 20p's, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it ever again. But
no, because like with the slots, right, you get like 20p bets, the 50p, pound, £2, £5, £20, whatever. Not the 20p. You want to go for the 50p. Put a fiver in, do 50p's, because the majority of the time you'll always get a free spin at least once. Yeah. And that'll put you over a fiver, maybe over 20, 30, mate. And there you go. You're putting 20, 30, 40 quids in to chase the money you're winning back. If you're putting fivers in, you lose a fiver, you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm going.
Mate, gambling is a fucking horrible thing to happen to someone. Like, again, I was lucky. I was very lucky. I was bored. I was on the cusp. I won't lie. I was on the cusp. But I managed to pull away. My poor girlfriend, bless her. You know, she was all right in the end, but she started to get the pull because she had nothing else to do. A lot of people didn't have anything to do at this point.
Oh, good thing will be to do, mate. Trust me on this one. Like, just not really behind her back, but like, just count how much she's putting in right and how much she loses, and then do the maths.
Oh, we done that like a year ago. We already done that. It's resolved now. It's resolved. But I can completely understand why that would happen to someone. Like, luckily for me, I'm such a fucking tight bastard that I was just like, I'll just make my own money. I already made that. Yeah. I already had this conversation with myself because I tend to do this. Like, I'm not crazy or anything like that. I consciously have a dialogue with myself because
mate, everyone does. Everyone has their inner voice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
and one time I'm a bit drunk. I'm at my girlfriend's and I'm having a piss and I'm just having a conversation with myself. I'm like, all right, I promise. No, it wasn't that I promise. I was saying to myself, I was convincing myself of the idea that I will not be given my wealth. I will earn it. That was a conversation I had with myself. I will earn my wealth. I don't want it any other way. And because of that, I never win at gambling because of that conversation I had with myself. And that keeps me away from it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do things, man. If
So
you've got like the self fucking control to do it.
because even if I was to win, I wouldn't have earned it. So that's where I draw the line.
Well, in a way you do, because you're using your own money to gamble.
Yeah, but
It's
you're
just the
pressing a
addiction.
fucking button with your thumb, mate. Like that's not.
Well, I know, but it's the addiction of it. Like, it's easy to get addicted because of the beautiful sounds and the ching ching ching.
It's
And
bright.
Even the
Mate,
losing sounds, it makes you want to fucking not
that
hear the
reminds
losing
me.
sound.
There is no losing sound. It's just fucking silence and despair. Just staring
There is
at
there is a cheeky little gudum, and that noise is like even in your brain. It's like, I don't want to hear that noise. I want to hear the ding ding. You know what I mean? It tricks you, mate. Trust me. Working in a bookies, that is all it is. Not the winning the money, not the fucking all this fancy shit. It's the noises. It's the ding ding, and the people that mute it, they're the ones who are fucking gambling addicts.
What's the best way to describe someone that's just lost everything?
I've seen it a couple times. What do you mean by that?
Like someone just fucking spent like 2 weeks' wages and got nothing.
Well, mate, oh God.
I'm just maybe that's too specific, but you get the gist.
See, this is where it gets touchy, because this isn't like the Swinny Anal story, because that's just true and fucking like. But see, this is different. This is like people's livelihoods and. All right, fuck it.
You don't have to say names, mate. Fucking just.
No, I don't know his name anyway. But there's this taxi driver, but he used to be on the self excluded list. So he must have come in like a year ago and
he put a cap on himself.
Not even that. He obviously because I didn't work there a year before he'd done it. So like, he's give someone his passport and said, look, I don't want to. If you see me in the shop, you have to get kicked out. If you're in that list, like if you see him, you have to kick him out because he's done it himself. And even if he's like, no, I'm like, oh mate, you're in the book. Get the fuck. So,
that's how it starts.
he used to come in, right? See, this is where it gets thingy. But we just let him. We were like, fuck it, you know what? He spends a lot of money in here. You get self-included or not, fuck it. So
you enabled him.
I didn't. It wasn't my job. I wasn't the supervisor. It's the supervisor's choice to be like, sure, you go kick him out. He's self-included. So she never said, or she, whoever the supervisor was at the time, never said that to me. So it was just like, yeah, let him spend money in the fucking machine.
Bastards.
Scummy, mate. That's why I hated working there. And I can't go too far into it. But anyway.
Mate, no, you're going all the way, bro. You're going all, I can just cut it out. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to stitch you up, mate. I won't stitch you up.
Yeah. This isn't even that bad. This is not the bad part. But yeah, this guy, mate, he used to go in here and spend on the roulette, right? And like, no cap or anything. Just, this is before they started getting all the adverts coming out, like bet, regret, and all that shit. Like, there's none of that going on. So like, he'd be spending grands in this fucking machine, and then like spending more grands trying to make his grands back, but only making like a grand back, like ridiculous amounts, man, like hundreds of grands, mate. I'm not even joking. And like, there was this one day in particular, he must have spent 10 grand on the roulette trying to get his 10 grand back. So he'd lost 20 grand. So then he puts another 10 grand in. And this is when like the guy was like, yeah, you can't keep chasing your grands. I know it's like cool and that, but like, mate, you've like, you know what I mean? His wife used to come in and like say to us and like if you see him, like, don't let him fucking, because he's like leaving us bankrupt and shit, this taxi driver. And yeah, just ruthless, man. Like, and this day he lost 30 grand. Like, he just sat in the bookies for like an hour, and like we were sitting behind the thing. Like, I think he's gonna fucking like kill us or something like that. We were seriously worried for our life, because he looked like just like a ghost. Like, I've seriously fucked my life up there.
His fucking, yeah.
Like, yeah, he's just spent like 30 grand trying to win 10 grand back that he lost. So he spent 20 grand trying to get 10 grand back, and like, yeah, he's like fucked up his life, like. And sitting there, he sat there for about 2 hours, and he left eventually, but then we never seen him again. Well, not until I left, but yeah, man, ruthless, absolutely ruthless. So addiction, it is a mad addiction, because it's not like
the most socially accepted ones, isn't it? And it's the least spoken about addiction, I reckon.
Yeah.
That and sex addiction, I think, are least spoken about the most, because
sex addiction. Can you be addicted to sex?
No, look, you can fall into a loop, right? Here's the bottom line. And again, because it's not spoken about often, even it doesn't even necessarily have to be sex. It just has to be some form of pleasure. So whatever
Yeah,
you
but
do.
is there a butt ugly sex addict? Let's be serious.
What do you mean?
Well, are you gonna go to these sex addiction meetings and that? There's no fucking like the hills have eyes looking motherfuckers, is there? There's a sex addict. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. You probably get a handsome couple that go there. Like you fucking Charlie Sheens of the world.
Yeah, like there's no like, do you know what I mean? Like
But
I don't want to name names and say people are butt ugly. So like, you know what I mean? I don't want to come up with an
it's
example.
subjective. I know what you're saying. It's subjective. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't necessarily just have to be actual intercourse that qualifies as sex addiction. It can just be like, masturbating. That can be an addiction. And it can,
Yeah.
and the reason why it's not spoken about is because it's almost on the surface level, it's harmless because it's just you in your own company in your own private time, right? But if you're doing that 3 times a day for the sake of it, then that's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
There are 2 types of masturbating, right? There's the I'm doing this because it's lockdown and I don't know what the future consists of, so I'm just gonna masturbate because fuck it, what else am I gonna do, right? And then there's the I fucking need to, right? This is like you've been working 10 hours straight, you've been doing split shifts, you've been fucking hitting the
mate,
gym.
it's 10 minutes after getting into work. It's like, oh shit, I need to masturbate. Shit. Can I go to the toilet?
And yeah, especially after like a morning shift and you get home and you just rub it out and you pass the fuck out.
No, what's the problem? People that masturbate and then 10 seconds later, like, oh, I can go again.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's the chain wanker. Chain wanking.
Mate, I don't know if it's me getting older or what. Like, see, if I masturbate, I have sex with someone, it's got to be at least half an hour before you start rubbing up. Or, like, do you know what I mean? Some milk, paracetamol, I'm ready to go again. Oh, yeah, let's go. I don't know, because you got to, like, control the pain in your penis.
No.
If you're going to go again.
Yeah, man. Mate, you're an addict.
Mate, I was joking. Addict. I was joking. Cup of milk, mate. Who has a cup of milk? I ain't had a cup of milk since I was like 10.
Fine, mate. It's the paracetamol. No, even the milk's not a good thing. And I'll tell you why, because it fucking slodges around in your stomach. You just feel ill. You know what I mean? Half pint, maybe, but you stick to water.
Who's disgusting?
Old tricks are the best tricks, mate. Just have a pint of water.
No, who's disgusting? People that can sit in bed and eat crisps, right? And then be like, you're right, love. Fancy a shag.
That's an abomination,
mate.
That's an abomination right there, my friend. I mean,
you know what I mean? Not even washing your hands or anything. Just like,
mate, I don't even eat biscuits in bed, mate. I care that much.
Nah, man. I know, like, I've only got a bed, but like, I still sit up and eat my food. I still sit up and eat my food. I don't lie in bed like, you know what I mean?
Mate, I will eat chocolate in bed, but even then I got to be careful because like every time you break a bit of chocolate, especially when it's been in the fridge.
But sometimes like even when you bite a bit, it's like a flake goes there, or it's like down your shirt,
and it's down your shirt, it melts on your hand.
You look down, you're like, I swear I didn't fucking do a shit on my chest that night.
Oh mate, like if you're having like individuals, like whether it be Buttons or Maltesers, one always gets away, doesn't it? Gets under your back.
Yeah. There's one then. You wake up with fucking skittle up your ass.
Or you think you've shat yourself. You wake up like, Jesus Christ. Oh, thank God, it's Malteser.
I did that at my granny's once. I was eating chocolate in a bed, and she never let me used to eat chocolate anywhere apart from the living room with like a fucking tray so the crumbs didn't get on the floor. So I was eating like these what are they called? Chocolate Leibniz, like a little biscuit with chocolate on top. Chocolate Leibniz. I don't know how you fucking say it. It's like German or some shit. Leibniz. I was eating them, but the chocolate bit, like a whole chocolate bit, come off and went on the bed, and then just I didn't see it at first. I was watching Match of the Day, and like it melted, so it looked like a total just diarrhea in my granny's bed. And as she was like tucking me in, and I had to move to the other side. So obviously I was like, "Fuck, she's gonna see the other chocolate shit patch." So like. And then she's like, she looks at me like, you motherfucker. And she literally like scraped it with her fingers and she was like, you're lucky. This is chocolate, Sean. I thought she would make, so I've been like twice I've been hit with a slipper by my granny, and like they weren't pleasant experiences. So this time I avoided it, luckily, because it was chocolate and not shit.
Otherwise, you got the slipper straight through your
Mate,
out.
mate, if that was shit, she probably would have shoved the slipper up my ass. I'm
It
telling
was
you.
weird though. Like if we were to go grab a slipper and beat the shit out of our grannies, we go to prison, but they don't.
Not our granny.
I'm joking.
If I slapped my granny with the slipper, she'd take it on the chin like a man. She's like, hey, I deserve that, Sean. Maybe not in a Scottish accent. She's lost it a bit. You know what? See your granny and granddad, right? They're pure English, right? So they have a sip of alcohol and they're like, right, see, back in my day. They sound right Scottish, don't they? Or Irish, or whatever they think they are.
Oh man,
They start speaking Gaelic. How do you like it? Well, I don't know anything.
Hello, Camila.
I don't know any fucking Gaelic.
That was it. That's all I know.
I'd love to learn like a total obscure language.
Oh mate, let's learn a language that only 500,000 people speak. Let's do it.
What's that? Like Montenegrin?
No, Scottish Gaelic.
Oh, nah, not Gaelic. That's too obvious. That's an obvious like obscure language. Something like I don't know. Like I don't know. Think of an obscure country.
Oh, we said it earlier when you were trying to pronounce the sweets, the chocolates. I thought it almost sounded like you're saying Lebanese.
Lebanese? What? Speak
But
Lebanese?
But they speak Arabic, right? I mean, they've probably got regional languages that they speak, but
yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's like Chinese dialects that are only specific to a region.
You know that the French languages are spoken in a lot more places than people realize.
Yeah, that's quite a universal language.
A lot of North African countries speak it as a second or first language.
Yeah.
I've met Moroccans, I've met Tunisians, I've met Algerians, a couple, but they all speak French. So it's handy.
Yeah, French and English are quite universally spoken. I'd say Spanish. Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny, like, you know, Korean and North Korean, because of how segregated they are from one another.
We should learn Korean, mate.
Yeah, not North Korean. So North Korean and South Korean only have about 20% in common.
Well, languages wise.
Yeah, that's because it's been 80 years since the cultures have been in the same space. So the North Koreans sort of continue their own version of the language, and the South Koreans continue their version, which is going to have a lot of English words thrown in.
Like hello,
slang words.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you get, you know, you see a lot of
calculator. I'm joking.
Calculator. Volvo.
Calculator. Ha.
Oops.
What was that?
8008S.
Oh, boobies.
Boobies.
No boobies as well. Boobies is my favorite. It's less
so childish but funny.
Yeah, man. It's like
there was one thing I used to do.
It's like dick and fart jokes, man. They still crack me up. Like if you sneeze and fart, you do a backflip. Like that still gets people laughing.
It does, doesn't it?
Or like we're in my junior school, and these guys, because I didn't have a dad at the time, and that's weird to some kids, isn't it? So my brother was like, "Oh yeah, he got tickled to death."
Huh?
I didn't know what happened to my dad. So my brother made up some bullshit that he got tickled to death. My mum still finds that hilarious to this day. Brings it up.
It's like how that rumor about Niall's dad is that he went over to Scotland one time
and didn't come back.
Went blind and didn't come back.
On the first podcast, he's like, "Nope, that's not true. He actually did come back, or he didn't come back. I don't know. I can't remember.
He was already going blind."
Yeah. Fucking that's funny, man. Bullshit like that. I love funny bullshit. Funny bullshit's funny.
Obscure, you know, absurd, abstract.
You know, like those kids that come into school like, "Oh yeah, I was fucking backstage at the Slipknot concert on Saturday. It was ace, man." Like a fucking 10-year-old. Like, no, you weren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I got tickets. I got VIP tickets to go see fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Some shit like that. Mate, there was a guy in my school who said like he chatted to fucking the girl who played Buffy on webcam and she showed her boobs to him. And we're in year 4 or year 5. It's like, mate, no, you didn't.
You know what's funny?
That was your mum's porno you made with your dad.
Kids in year 4 now have iPhones, so they can just Google people's bullshit. We didn't have that. We had to either accept it or not accept it.
We had to remember the shit we seen on TV, and we didn't remember it to the point people would be like, "Nah, he's lying. Nah, he's lying."
Do you reckon?
Carry on.
I was saying, do you reckon our generation have a good memory?
We do. Like, sometimes I sit here and we speak about things, and I'll say things, and I'll think, how the fuck did I remember that to the point as well? And like, not everyone does, because I'll say things to people I did these things with, and they'll be like, I don't remember that, and I'll be like, are you crazy? Like, I remember it as light as day, but you don't. That makes me a bullshitter in some certain cases,
I think
because
it's
I remember
because
more things.
you and I have gone through periods individually where there was a lot of time on our own, in our own solitude, and it makes us more appreciative of the good moments in life
So,
and
oh yeah,
the
I get
wacky
you. So
moments.
you think like being on your own and having time to reminisce and think, even like the dark times, that helps
Yeah,
you remember more.
because we have more time.
But I think over time it's got better for me, because like there was a stage in my life where I was like, especially when I was younger, like I just wouldn't take anything in. I was just a little shit, because obviously I was rebelling because certain things happened, but like just shit wouldn't go in. I acted like a dumbass, like started doing really stupid shit, just like waving my dick about and shit.
Well, I mean, you're going through trauma of your brother, man, so don't worry about that. And you're fucking 5 years old.
But that's the thing. Like, cause I didn't like from 5 to 8, just like it's like a blur to me till I started really
But it
getting
would
into
be.
juniors.
It would be because, again, the brain has this profound ability to take us away. It's like our soul can escape itself during moments that are too much. It's almost like the universe is saying, you don't need to see this right now. We'll come back to this.
Yeah, because people be like, oh, I remember when I was like 7 or 5 or this that. I'll be like, that is blank in my memory. Even trying to remember it, it's like it's just darkness in my head. It's like I don't remember. I don't remember anything.
I think you'll revisit that in time when I think your mind is ready to.
No, but that's why I have now. Like it's like happening the past couple of years. Like I start remembering more, and it's like a good thing, you know. It's like, man, that was ace. They were ace times, and like, yeah, he's gone. Fuck it, like. But I'm starting to like learn more, absorb more, and shit. Like, do you know what I mean? And this is where I was speaking to Brett earlier. How like loyalty is a big fucking part of my existence now. Like that, like unquestionable, like loyalty, like where like.
You're saying like too much.
I know. I was about to say that. Like, I'm just saying that back again. What am I doing?
Take your time, bro. Just take your time, bro.
Unquestionable loyalty is just when someone will have your back without even like questioning or bringing
unconditional love,
bringing it to your attention. Say like, fuck off. Someone comes to you and says, "Oh, Sean's a bit nasty on the podcast." Like,
carry on. I want to hear the story, please.
You would just be like, "Fuck off." You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, man. Please, I'm just giggling, man. It's weird. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's vibrational. I posted that on Instagram earlier. Carry on.
Because yeah, it's what me and Brett were saying, and Brett is always. He's such a. I love Brett. Don't get me wrong. But when you try and talk to him on a level about individuals or certain things, he's very peacemakery.
Yeah.
And I don't want peace.
A fence sitter. A fence sitter.
I wouldn't even say it's sitting on the fence, because he's not taking sides, which I respect. Because I'm not the sort of person who's going to be like, you must hate this person now. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck if you associate with them or anything. And I'm not naming names. I'm just trying to speak universally here. So, yeah, my issue with that is unquestionable loyalty at the end of the day. If you know something's not true or a fact against one of your other friends, call this other person up on it. But you don't have to tell me, like, or whoever you're sticking up for. Just say, be yourself. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I think it is? Is that there's been a sort of shift, a moral shift in a lot of us as a collective, where we live on such a thin margin of being comfortable and being safe and being healthy. There's a very small margin of this, and it relies on so many things. It relies on being employed, being in the position that you're in, this, that, and the other. There's so many variables, and all we want is simplicity. We just want things to just be smooth sailing. You know, I drive my car every day, but then take for granted the fact that the car's working and it's getting me to and from work, get me to and from places I need to be, being a massive help in my life. And then one day the clutch goes. This happened 2 weeks ago. On my way to work, clutch goes ping. It cost like 480 quid to fix. The money wasn't the issue. I got it done, but suddenly I spent the next 3 days having to either walk or borrow my mum's car. And I'm like, you don't realize how easy it is to be thrown out your comfort zone. All it takes is for a clutch to go in your car, or to lose a job, or to, you know, for something to a situation to occur in your life.
Yeah, so going off that, right?
So easy to just stay in. People have this mentality of just staying in their lane. They won't get involved. They'll be a fence sitter and not get involved in other people's dramas, because right now they're just on this trajectory that's comfortable. So they don't want to upset the order. We've become too accustomed to order, and we need to sort of embrace chaos.
Yeah. But you get to a stage in life where I'll go from the heart here. Like, I remember I was quite outgoing, and like when we finished school and that, I used to go out a lot, fucking any house party. Like, yeah, I'm there. Fucking drink a lot. Even when I started smoking weed, like, I'd still want to go out and I'd do things. But it wasn't until I got fucking jumped, right? Everything changed. I didn't want to go out. I wanted to stay in my house. And I just wanted everyone to come around mine and just keep me company. Like, no, I felt paranoid all the time, like going out. I'd just be looking over my fucking shoulder constantly. Do you know what I mean? It really fucked my head for a couple of years.
It would do, and I can understand why it would. Sorry, I don't interrupt.
But this changed. Like, all my principles went out my window. All the trust and shit went out of the window. I just wanted anyone to keep me fucking company. You know what I mean? So I'd start making friends with people I wouldn't normally be friends with. Just making stupid decisions based off fucking, like,
you went through a Philip K. Dick phase. You went through a Scanner Darkly phase where you just sort of opened up your door and let anyone come in from all walks of life.
That's where I fucked up, because then people started taking advantage, and I just started trusting people that I shouldn't have ever trusted. Or started.
If I was to guess, did you let people take advantage of you because you didn't want to disappoint them? So you put up with it because you didn't want to, suddenly the concept of loneliness becomes.
You got to think as well at the time, like
incentive and initiative, or it kind of brainwashes you to thinking, oh no, I need these friends.
Got to think at the time as well, right? Like, you know what my mum was like back then, like, just very open and like, yeah, come in, do this, do that. So like, you got to think, in a sense, they were taking advantage of her as well. Her kindness, her fucking.
I know some people.
Not saying you were. There's like 2 people that did. I know for a fact. But what was the point I'm trying to get to here?
Rule number 3: never fuck with a man's mother.
Not even saying they fuck with her, just like.
But even to disrespect her, that's
took her kindness for a weakness, man. Just, you know what I mean? Like, there'd be times I'd wake up, and like, people would be in my room, just fucking using my shit. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously my mum's let them in because she's like, oh yeah, come in, like, go upstairs, you'll be awake soon. Like, you know what I mean?
Do you know, it was always
to any normal friend, I'd be like, oh, I'll wait till he gets up, I'll call them later. Do you know what I mean? Let the guy get up. Anyway, enough about me.
No, that's sound, mate. It really is.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, I trusted too many people that I shouldn't have trusted, and I broke too many principles that I used to have of, like, fucking people that treat you like shit. Just get rid of them. Like, and I let people treat me shit for shit too long. Then I should have. Even people that we genuinely thought were friends.
You acknowledge that now.
Weren't really our friends. Yeah, but that's what I mean. I acknowledge all this shit now, and like, bites them in the ass at the end of the day, not me. They're the ones who look like dickheads.
The first thing I was going to say to you was, I can see why getting jumped and being in the situations that you've been in would make you have to reevaluate your morals and how you perceive the world. Because I've never touched wood. I mean, this shit can still happen. I haven't been jumped. Like, I've been in a situation, but I've not.
But shit's happened after that, like the knife attacks and.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For example, but that didn't fuck me up as much as the first time getting jumped did.
But the reason why it would fuck you is what I'm saying is that even though I haven't been in that specific situation, I can only imagine that I have sensed that, I have experienced that fear, that sort of nausea induced fucking situation where you're just paralyzed with fear because you know you're in a bad situation. I know that feeling. And you never, being made aware of your own vulnerability, having it reflected back at you is a demoralizing feeling. But it's a realistic, I mean, you are in a dangerous situation. So of course you're going to feel that way. Of course it's going to make you rethink about who you really are in this world. And are you really capable? Are you really capable of being an individual? And moments like that is part of the growth. It's not ideal, but we come to acknowledge it later on in life and think, oh yeah, that was a transformative moment for me in my life.
Oh yeah, definitely was, man. In a bad way to start with, but in a good way at the end of all of it.
You know, there's shit I've done in my early 20s that I'm not, it's not that I'm not proud of it. It just seemed like a waste. But I go back to what you said last night when you said, or the night before, when you're saying, but it all leads to this moment. So you can't change the past. Even if you could, why would you? Because it would then have a knock-on effect to your present as it is. You could, butterfly effect, you could miss out on so many good things that you have in your life today, all because you wanted to change one element 6-7 years ago. It's like, no, I have to accept that what is what it was. And
yeah, no, I've fully accepted that in life now. Like whatever you've done, whatever shit's happened, it's happened. Whatever happened, happened. You can't change it. And even if you could, why would you? Like,
I think
it's a growing.
The only thing I would change about my past self.
This is a question I had written down as well. Like, let me ask the question because it's going to lead straight onto what you're going to say. If there was one thing in life you could change any point, what would it be?
I'd go back to like being 18, 19 years of age, maybe even 17, and have the assertiveness I have now as an adult at 29 years of age. I wish I could put that into my 17-year-old self. I wish I could put the confidence into him, because I used to be quite tall and gangly at 17. I didn't have much muscle on me because I grew so tall. I was just a skinny motherfucker.
Well, tall and athletic, but we didn't work out.
I didn't really work. I did parkour and all that, but I was very lean and I didn't like the way I looked. You know, it was a weird feeling because I don't have that anymore. I like who I am. There are times when I'm hard on myself, but not like, I don't feel I'm confident who I am, but I always like to raise the bar because you don't want to fall into complacency. So you
always need to buy the next penis size pump up.
Yeah. And oh fuck.
Sorry.
That's all right. What was I saying?
You're instilling confidence in your 17-year-old self.
Thank you. So, oh mate, you're fucking amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I wish I could put that into my 17-year-old self onwards. That assertiveness, that confidence, that appreciation for who I am and where I'm at, and not being afraid of. You know, I had all the same ideas and same imagination now as I did at 17, but I'm a lot more grounded these days. I'm a lot better at being realistic about my goals because I understand the process for most things. It's like, no matter what it is that you aspire to do, it kind of has the same step-by-step thing that you go through. It kind of has the same rules, you know. It doesn't matter what it is you want to be, whether you want to be a writer or speak another language. You just kind of have to, once you figure out how your brain takes in and retains information, once you learn how to do that, you're laughing. You know, I do what's called the VIII test on people when I'm personal training. I won't even tell them about it. I'll just do it in my own head because they don't need to know. So some people are visual learners, some people are audio learners, and some are kinesthetic learners. Some people learn through seeing, some people learn from hearing, and others learn from doing it.
I'm a bit of like visual and doing.
Same. I'm top marks on kinesthetic, and I'm close second. Close first is
like, because like
visual.
If you see it and then you like put it into practice, you can do it.
I can't do audiobooks because I don't learn through.
Yeah. People always say, "Oh, listen to this. He narrates it," and that's like, no, I can read myself and I can picture it myself. I
can do podcasts, but I cannot do audiobooks.
Yeah, because podcasts is like people talking about. They're not reading from a fucking. They're not reading to you. It feels kind of patronizing.
You don't need to retain anything.
And all power to people that love sitting there and listening to audiobooks at work. Fucking all power to you. But I'd prefer to like read a book and because you get lost in a book and then your eyes start getting drowsy and you're like, oh, this was good. This is a good reading session. I need to go to bed now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I like to physically see the page and read those words and have my own internal monologue, my internal voice.
Yeah, it's like I was saying with James with Lost, right? Remember how everyone in school was talking about it? And like even in school I was like this. Like everyone would be like, oh, I lost this, their opinion this. I'm trying to keep it spoiler free. Their opinion that, blah blah blah. And I'll be sitting there like, fuck off. Like I'll be sitting there and thinking to myself, I can make up my own mind. Like I can watch it, have my own opinion, and then discuss with people what I thought about it. Not fucking Tom Malenko's theory of what happened in the woods. That's like, fuck off, you don't know shit. Like anyway, that relates back to like reading it yourself. Like you want to
I want to create myself. You know what I mean? I read the words and I picture it in my mind however I'm going to picture it.
Exactly.
It's weird, you know, there's two types of reading for me. It's like, goes back to that wanking, in it. There are two types of wanking. There are two types of reading for me. There's the reading it as an aspiring writer and reading it for pleasure. So reading as an aspiring writer, I do this the most. I should probably try and not do this, but it just seems to be a habit where a particular author that I admire, especially their style, if I admire their craft so much, I'll really pay attention to how they're doing it because I just like it. You know, I try to mix it. That's what my style consists of. It just little bits of inspiration here and there that eventually becomes my own voice through practice. And so I'll be paying attention to how that's done. But then when I'm not doing any writing, I just read for pleasure. So
that's it. Yeah, I do that though. And it's not like you're copying either. It's more of a inspiration based thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because there are, again, it goes back to the whole, when you learn to do something that you want to be good at, something you aspire to do, there is a system in place. There are these rules and you can bend those rules and you can sometimes break those rules. But for the most part, it makes sense to abide by certain rules that have been established over hundreds of years or 50 years, depending on the current version of that thing that you're learning.
Because you could try mix up the game with some new rule set or different style of writing, and it just not get received well. Certain books have tried that. It's like a book I was reading a couple of years ago. It's like a post-apocalyptic book, and it's written in such a weird way. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
but I couldn't get into it. The way it was written from a mentally ill person's perspective.
Do you know what? I couldn't read, maybe I wasn't in the right mindset, but I couldn't get into No Country for Old Men, the book.
Really? I thought you were saying it was good.
I really liked it at first, and then it just got bland. Like the style didn't inspire me. I don't even I don't know it. I can't explain it. Maybe I just wasn't, maybe I'd need to try again. Maybe because the movie was so fucking good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you watch a movie before reading it first, it kind of has a negative effect sometimes, doesn't it?
Sometimes it complements one another. Like, for example, I watched a lot of Philip K. Dick stuff before I eventually read Philip K. Dick. And, you know, they're their own things. Blade Runner and Durandor's Dream of Electric Sheep. You know, I watched that film several times and then got the book. And when I read the book, you know, I saw it as Philip K. Dick's version of it. You know, I saw the towers, the pyramids, the city. I saw all that. But I didn't see it as a black sky like you see in Blade Runner. I did see it as a genuine grey sky.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's described in the book. So I see it as that. And Deckard is like a mixture of Harrison Ford and Philip K. Dick himself, like a sort of podgier version. That's how I imagine Deckard in the book.
That's it. That's interesting. Here's a good one for you. If TV show, game, any character, like what character would you say like fucking total had a massive impact on the way of thinking in life? Do you know what I mean?
In a fictional book,
TV, book, game, anything.
There's multiple ones, but they've sort of occurred at different times throughout my life. It goes back to that Nietzsche thing, that Übermensch. We all sort of have these archetypes of what we perceive to be most corresponding with our values. you know. In the early days, like when I was like 20, 21 years of age, Bradley Cooper in Limitless was like the first time I ever watched that film. I fucking wanted to go for a jog afterwards. It's one of them films. I never saw it in the cinema. I watched it at home. But if I watched that in the cinema, mate, I would have been walking out there buzzing. There's been some films where I've walked out fucking buzzing. So Bradley Cooper in Limitless was one of them. I thought, I want that to be my life. I just want to use my brain. I just want to read. Oh, Will Hunting in Good Will Hunting. Not Ben Affleck, Matt Damon.
Yeah.
When I watched that film, that inspired me to want to read more. And that actually did inspire me to read more, because that's when I got the Philip K. Dick book. Then I started getting the William Gibson stuff, the George Orwell, fucking, you know what I mean? Just took it further and further. Brett made contributions and told me what to check out. You gave me contributions that I checked out. Anthony got me on the Stephen King bandwagon. I've inspired you with books, you know, giving you inspirations. Joe Hadlin with The Forever War.
Yeah, man, that was a quality book.
Brett got me into reading Arthur C. Clarke, The City and the Stars. It's not my cup of tea these days, but at the time I really enjoyed it. But characters that have inspired me, Tyler Durden, kind of, you know, a little bit, not too much.
Even like directors, and like, you know what I mean, any
David
person
Fincher.
in the world. Who did I have in my head?
Andy Sorkin, the guy that
Matt, who's the blonde one from the South Park duo? Matt Parker.
both
Trey
of them,
Parker,
right? Trey Parker, Matt Stone's
yeah, that's one. Both of them. Just they're ruthless, not give a shit attitude, and still doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
like they're untouchable.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, and even if people try to cancel them, they'd make a skit in South Park the next week trying to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're fucking brilliant.
Another
John Locke from Lost.
Yeah.
His faith. I know I'm trying. I won't spoil anything, but his faith to the end is amazing. Like, just loyal. Just eye on the prize. Don't change his values for nothing. Like, he's all about faith. And it wavers near the end. I won't spoil anything, but his loyalty to faith and things happening for a reason and shit. Like,
there's nothing's better than a strong character that you can get behind.
But like, he's weak. He's a weak character. That's the thing about Locke.
Isn't it nice though when a weak character becomes a strong character? Like when you watch them episode by episode.
I can't. That's what I'll say.
It's all right. I'll say something. I'll talk about something similar that I have seen. So Misfits.
Yeah.
You know,
the nerdy guy. What's his name?
Simon.
I forget his name.
So yeah, Simon is this. For those who don't know what Misfits is about, there's these kids doing community service, and there's a storm that happens outside the center, and they all get struck, and they all have powers, and it's fucking great premise. One of the characters, Simon, when people ignore him, he sort of turns invisible, right? But then this weird other character called Super Hoodie shows up. He can do all these parkour skills. He's just there at the right time, at the right place, right time, and just fucking helps him out. And it turns out to be Simon from the future. And Simon from the future falls in love with Alicia, I think her name is.
Yeah, that's her name, yeah.
But then you slowly watch present day Simon become Super Hoodie, his future self. His fucking great arc.
Fucking show is awesome.
Great arc. And you become so much more invested when present day Simon and Alicia get her off, when they fall in love with one another, because she falls in love with the future version, but then he dies. So she ends up slowly falling in love with present day Simon, and it's fucking beautiful, mate.
Yeah, man. I love those sorts of arcs.
And I was doing parkour at the time, so that was my inspiration. I thought, man, I wish I could have been on that show being a stunt double, but I wasn't that good back then.
Too tall, I think, because Simon's a bit small, isn't he?
Exactly. But other inspirations, mate. Here's an inspiration for you, right? And this is actually a person we've met.
Tony Blair. No, I'm joking.
Mate, if you ever get bored, right, check out Labour. It Only Gets Better, 1997.
Oh, mate.
It only gets better.
I've seen it, but I recommend whoever's watching to check it out.
I watched that the day Labour lost the election. And in the comment section, just some dude saying, anyone else?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tim Warner's got this documentary. We've got an ad at the end and a link in the description. But it's 30 minutes long and it's fucking really good. It's got some footage of him doing stand-up that I haven't found anywhere else. So it's good to catch some of his material, because he did a set on Kill Tony that was really, really good. That's what got me on this radar.
Yeah.
He was like Bill Hicks. He was like George Carlin. It reminded me of those moments when I first had that light bulb go off my head, where I was like, oh, that's different. I remember you had that Bill Hicks DVD, that 30-minute HBO special you done.
Yeah,
and
man.
There's
I remember
about
watching that.
Yeah, he's talking about like, you know, drinking and driving, or trying to, what was it, smoking and driving. He said, you can't be trying to run someone over. It's like, is that a firefly?
Yeah.
It's knocking over shrubs.
Yeah, that's the exact feels I got from Tim as well. Exact, like, and then not in like a plagiarized way. Tim's just his own sense of comedy.
It was great to
and the
talk
story's interesting as well. And yeah, he's been great to talk to on the podcast, and just fucking his documentary's insane.
Yeah, it's good.
Especially him.
Tells a story.
Putting the work in, going to different states, trying to bring his comedy to them, not waiting around, not sitting around, doing his thing. Tim's the man. Tim's the man, yeah.
Yeah, no, check. Yeah. And fucking best of luck to him. He's in Florida now. See what happens. Watch this space with Tim Warner.
Like, well, it's the middle of the pandemic and how much money. Dude decided to just lease a car, get up, live in it, and go out to hunt down fucking 5-person open mic stage time in the middle of the pandemic.
Don't forget the joke! Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? Come on,
The pandemic, comics kind of had to make a choice. Like, am I going to go all in on pods? Am I going to do videos? Am I going to start a website or whatever the fuck?
CDC and the WHO says I'm fucking essential.
And a lot of them did jack shit and bitch the whole time, or turned on each other, or whatever it was.
Oh, this is what I've been living in for the last, whatever now, 7.5 months.
All of us should be on a mountaintop right now, eating mushrooms, smoking DMT, trying to figure out if there is a God, or if all of this is just mindset and it's a computer simulation.
And not a lot leaned in and just said, hey, I'm going all in on this, whatever idea I have.